Okay, so the PlanetScale MCP is not sentient yet, but we did just launch a brand new version of the PlanetScale MCP server. Despite what your timelines might make you think, MCP is still a really important part of working with LLMs and AI agents, particularly when you have applications that you need to access through secure authentication. And a database is a perfect example of that. You want to make sure that you're authenticated and have fine-grained control over the permissions that you give to an agent in order to interact with your sensitive data. Now, PlanetScale has had an MCP for a while. We released one in the early days of MCP, but a lot has changed since then in terms of the standards for how people interact with and use MCPs. So we're now introducing a hosted MCP server where all you need is our URL, do an OAuth, and then now you have access to your PlanetScale account through your AI agents. I'm going to use Cursor to show you how this works, but this MCP server works with all of the popular coding agents. So I've already got it installed here in Cursor, and I'm going to start by just asking it something really simple, and I'll use voice mode for this. What are all the databases I have in my PlanetScale account? Go ahead and submit that. And from here, it's going to list all of the ones that it has access to, given the organizations that I gave it access to when I authenticated. All right, so it gave me back a bunch of information, but for the single organization that I actually gave it access to, SpeedyDB, these are the 4 databases in there. And it shows me their names and what regions they're in, how many tables. Very good summary for what I have going on in my PlanetScale organization. So from here, I want to dig a little bit more into that metal database specifically. So let's ask, what are the largest tables in the metal database in the SpeedyDB org? As you're using this MCP, you'll notice that there's different tools that it can call. So in this case, it had to execute a read query to figure out the size of the tables, and I had to give it permissions to do that. So as you go, make sure you're giving it the permissions or not giving it the permissions for things you want it to do. But it's already gotten me a result back. And so the largest tables are all these ones with order lines, so order line 1 and so on. So this would be useful if you're trying to go through and figure out what your big tables are, maybe because you want to optimize queries there, or because you need to do data pruning, or you just kind of want to see how big the biggest tables are in your database. So now let's use this MCP server for something a little more challenging. I want to use it to help me optimize the queries in my database, identify if there's slow running queries, figure out if I need to add indexes. So let's give it some questions and see how much it can figure out using the tools provided by this server. I'll give it a nice general exploration question. So what are the slowest queries that have run on this database in the past 48 hours? And it was able to identify a bunch of slow queries that have run recently. So there's this select that took 16 seconds, another select that took 14 seconds, and quite a few others that are like very slow queries that I probably don't want to run on my database or I want to make faster. And it gives me some observation. So there's full table scans going on. That's probably something I want to avoid. There's some missing indexes, so it recommends, or it shows me that there's some things that are being filtered on and they don't have indexes, which could make them faster. Reading large rows. And so there's a bunch of things that it's given me ideas for things that I could do. So let's see from these recommendations if I could have it make a change. So particularly, let's see, the missing indexes. So I'm going to ask it to go ahead and create some indexes for me to make this faster. Create the recommended indexes to make these queries faster, and we'll see what it can come up with. So this is an example of a very nice feature of this server. Even though I told it yes to go ahead and do that, it tried to execute a write statement and was not able to. And this is because when I did the OAuth, we give you the ability to specify what orgs and what databases it has access to, and whether you want read-only access, write access, or no access to a database. In this case, I gave it only read access, so it actually tried but does not have the ability to make writes to the database, which indexes are included in that. So that's good. And this is something we would recommend for any connections to a production database. You don't want to risk having the AI do insertions or deletions or updates that are undesired. So generally make sure that for production, you're always only giving it read access. But the good news is it does give me options for how I can do this. So I could go connect via the PlanetScale CLI. I can copy the statements that it gave me, and as long as I'm comfortable as the database administrator, I can run and build those indexes and then get those performance improvements. This hosted MCP server makes it really easy to quickly get up and running with PlanetScale MCP, and gives you a lot of power to explore your databases, look at the schema, and identify how you can make things better. To get started, check the link down below to jump to the docs where we have some instructions on how this all works and how to get set up. If you have any questions, drop those down below, and I hope you have fun exploring your databases with the PlanetScale MCP server.